The latest Pompey news, updates every day from the Pompey Sound news desk.
John MOUSINHO's had a welcome boost to his attacking options for Friday against Norwich.
MOUSINHO said, "Keshi's available for Friday. Whenever Keshi's available for us, he's looked really sharp. Not having that option has been part of the problem over the past few weeks. Segs has done a brilliant job when he's been out there, but I don't really see him as an out-and-out winger. We've had that heavy reliance on Millie to do that job off the left. Sometimes he's been brilliant, but sometimes when we've not been able to change him out and give him a rest, that's perhaps taken its toll on him. So just having that option, like we did in that run of games when Keshi came in, will be useful. Keshi played against Southampton, he played against West Brom, and was due for a start against Ipswich before that got postponed. He then unfortunately picked up his injury. So I think you can see the strength of the squad, and the options we had over those games was a lot different. With the output we're asking for from the wingers, we'd like to change them over. It depends what kind of day the winger's having, but definitely having that option is useful."
I suspect a lot of onlookers would say that when John MOUSINHO talks about options, he's also talking about competition for places. Because one of the things that works in football, and we all know it, that works for football in football really well, is when there are two or more players vying for the starting shirt. And having 3 or 4 or 5 wide players battling it out to get the starting 7 or 11 shirts, it means that everybody's game is going to be as sharp as it possibly can be. But when you're reduced to 1.5 wide players, wide attacking players, it's not that complacency creeps in, it's just that you don't have the option of looking at the way in which a fullback during the game is either managing to contain a Pompey attacker or failing to contain a Pompey attacker, and then making adjustments on the pitch using your substitutions appropriately. So John MOUSINHO is now getting his options, and he's also getting competition for places for players who spend the game with their heels on the touchline.
John MOUSINHO admits there's no guarantee Ebou Adams will play for Pompey again this season, though the Blues boss is still holding out hope that the influential midfielder could return for the Leicester game on April 18th. The popular January signing damaged his MCL late in the crushing 6-1 defeat at QPR, and was visibly distraught after the final whistle. According to MOUSINHO, that emotional reaction had the club fearing the worst as they scrap for their championship lives. While the diagnosis was thankfully more encouraging than first feared, Adams is still expected to miss the next 4 games, and MOUSINHO is cautious about promising a definite return date. He says, "When you saw a reaction from him like that, I feared the worst. I think Ebou will be back this season. We are hopeful he will be back for the Leicester game. But you just don't know, I've had so many this season. We were talking in December about Josh Murphy being a couple of weeks away, and obviously that one hasn't worked out particularly well," he explained. "There have been others where injuries have dragged on. Shocks last season dragged on and on and on, and a 2-week injury turned into a 6-month injury. So I'm hopeful, but I'm just not certain of anything until they are back out on the grass." Losing Adams, even for a few games, is a major blow. He quickly became a Fratton Park favourite after his bargain £500,000 move from Derby, bringing a powerful, energetic presence to the midfield. He even scored the equaliser on his home debut against Southampton and has been a standout performer in the battle to avoid the drop. His absence creates a real selection headache for the key Good Friday trip to Norwich, and will likely stretch to include matches against Oxford United, Middlesbrough and Ipswich. With Andre Dizel not expected back from his own ankle injury and John Swift likely needed further forward, Pompey are suddenly thin in the middle of the park. While Marlon Pack is set to start, MOUSINHO must now decide whether to hand a first championship start since New Year's Day to the out-of-favour Luke Leroux. Alternatively, he could ask Zach Swanson to fill in, as he did in the win at Sheffield Wednesday, or move Terry Devlin back into a more familiar midfield role. Despite the setback, the manager says the midfielder is keeping his chin up. "Ebou is very, very bright and very enthusiastic, as you would expect him to be," he added. "He is exactly as advertised."
John MOUSINHO talking about Ebou Adams, and a nice little modernisation of the old advertising classic. It does what it says on the tin. John MOUSINHO's version of that. in connection with Adams is he is exactly as advertised. And he really is heading towards, being, shall we have a statue? not a statue, obviously, next to Jimmy Dick. But, perhaps if he goes on like this, he'll have a place on some wall of fame, won't he? Eboy Adams. How he's worked his way into our affections has been surprising, hugely surprising, and a real bonus. And, of course, he's such a bonus that when we miss him, we really miss him. So it remains to be seen what the midfield looks like against Norwich and in the upcoming games thereafter. It seems as though John Mousinho is hoping that he might be fit for Leicester, which of course will be at least as crucial a clash as the Oxford one. And by the way, the Norwich game is being billed as crucial, but Steve Bone, amongst others who have given this a lot of thought, says the Norwich game is not that important. It's the Oxford game and the Leicester game. Those are the ones that, if we can get 6 points from those two, well, happy days. As ever, the football news agency The 72 have asked their top football writers to predict the outcome of Friday's game against Norwich.
Will Evans-Jones, Norwich City will be looking to show they can still make a run for the playoff positions, having turned their season around under Philippe Clement. The Belgian transformed NCFC, turning them into an electric attacking side. With 5 wins out of their last 6 league games, they should be confident of making it 6 in the last 7 against Portsmouth. John Mousinho's Pompey have to pick up points over the busy Easter period, after their heavy defeat last time out and as relegation threat grows. With pressure increasing and the hosts in fantastic form, I'm going for a comfortable home win. Prediction: Norwich City 3-1. James Ray, this is only going one way in my opinion. It feels like Norwich City and Portsmouth are going in completely different directions, with NCFC not yet giving up on the top 6 while Pompey's fears of relegation grow. The Canaries have nothing to fear. They're playing with the freedom that comes from a lack of pressure while Pompey are really feeling it at the moment. Mousinho and co have had plenty of time to put that QPR game behind them. It was a freakish display of clinical finishing from the R's, and Portsmouth just have to forget it and move on. The best way to do so will be by getting a result here. Unfortunately, I do not see such an outcome. I think Norwich City will win routinely again as relegation fears deepen for Pompey. Prediction: Norwich City 2-0.
The thing is, it's a mugs game, isn't it? Offering predictions to matches, football matches, league football matches, in leagues where anybody can beat anybody. The results often go according to the form book, but equally, they all too often go against the form book. And one of the things that always surprises us, talking amongst ourselves at Pompey Sound, is that almost everybody who offers a prediction offers a predictable prediction. You can more easily predict the prediction that they're going to make than they can predict the outcome of the game. And I got the impression from listening to what those two guys at the 72, and I sympathise with them, it's a difficult thing to have to do. What I got the impression, and I may be completely wrong, is that they are still smarting from the fact that none of them came close to the correct score against QPR. How could you? It was so unexpected, so unlikely. It remains the unlikeliest scoreline in the history of modern statistics being kept and analysed by supercomputers, by AI. It's the most surprising result. 6, just to remind, 6 touches in our area, 6 goals. Never been done before, nothing like it. So they couldn't have predicted it. But that doesn't mean to say that they have to smart about how far out they were against QPR and take it out on Pompey by predicting that we're going to get steamrollered by Norwich. Surely it would be much more interesting and possibly more realistic to say there's a chance that this game might not go according to the form book. Norwich might be just a little bit not smug, but a little bit complacent. It might be that 8 out of the 10 outfield players for Norwich will think to themselves, well, I'm not going mad here. Somebody else can do the business. I'll run around as though I care, but I'm already thinking about the beach. So we'll see. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that Pompey don't just get something, but they nick a win. There. Now you've got an interesting prediction. Pompey 2-1.